Well, not really, because some characters absolutely hate the Straw Hat Captain. So in today's video, we're gonna give each One Piece character a percentage of how much they hate Luffy, starting with the ones who love him and don't hate him at all, and then work our way up to the ones who absolutely hate him the most. So let's get right into it with the first character who hates Luffy the least at 0%, and that's of course Bartolomeo. I mean, this guy doesn't just like Luffy, he literally sees him as his god, and he'll do anything for him. I'm serious. Like when the red-haired pirates gave Bardo a bottle of poison that he had to give to Luffy to drink to assassinate him as punishment for burning down their flag, he seriously didn't hesitate and straight up drank the poison himself. And I mean, sure, it was just a fake to test his loyalty to Luffy, but still, that showed us all how much Bardo loves Luffy. I mean, Bardo's clearly Luffy's #1 fan, and he'd literally die for him. So he obviously hates Luffy at 0%. And someone else who can't be higher than 0% is Boa Hancock. Just like Bardo, Hancock is absolutely obsessed with Luffy. I mean, she's seriously hung a giant Luffy poster on Kuja Castle. Yeah, Hancock is madly in love with him and dreams every day of being his wife. So she'd do anything for him, like we've seen her do over and over again, from saving him at Marineford to sneaking him into Impel Down and giving him mountains of meat. So yeah, if Hancock just hears someone talk bad about her future husband, she'll kick them in the head. But alright, let's move on to someone who does hate Luffy. Though not really, since this guy only hates Luffy at 1%, but still, that guy is actually Chopper. Now Chopper absolutely adores Luffy. He looks up to him, trusts him with his life, and he even loves Luffy so much that he seriously jumps into the ocean to save him, though he obviously ends up having to be dragged out himself. Still, that 1% of hatred comes from Luffy trying to eat him. Yeah! Whenever Luffy gets hungry, he just looks at Chopper, starts drooling, calls him emergency food, and then starts eating him. So yeah, that's why Chopper gotta be at 1%. But someone just a bit higher than that is actually Luffy's right-hand man Zoro, who's at 5%. Now don't get me wrong, Zoro is insanely loyal to Luffy. We're talking, if loyalty was a real person, it would seriously be Zoro. Like, this guy will do anything for his captain, even die for him. I mean, no one will forget how he took all of Luffy's pain from Kuma at Thriller Bark, which of course gave us the iconic nothing happened moment. That said, Luffy has been a pain in Zoro's ass so many times, like slamming him into the ocean when he's napping, jumping into the sea so Zoro's gotta save him, non-stop just dragging him away and unintentionally hurting him over and over again. Yeah, Zoro just never gets a break. And yet, he still sees Luffy as his best friend, and he'll do anything to help his captain achieve his dream of becoming the king of the pirates. Another Straw Hat pirate we gotta talk about is Usopp, who's also at 5%. These guys are literally like brothers, as they're always laughing, messing around, and having fun together. But that tiny bit of 5% hatred, that comes all the way back at Water 7. Because here, they had their extremely emotional fight over the Going Merry, with Usopp straight up challenging Luffy, leaving the crew, and even disrespecting him as a captain. And sure, they made up and are once again best friends. But still, Usopp's got a scar in his heart of Merry, and that's why he's gotta be at 5%. And oh, we obviously can't forget how Luffy's just always dragging Usopp into danger and making him scared for his life. Now, we gotta talk about Koby, at 6%. Even though Koby's a Marine and Luffy's a pirate, he still sees Luffy as one of his best friends.
Itadori, I need your power.
Yeah, ever since Luffy saved him from the Alvida pirates and inspired him to chase his dream of becoming a Marine, Koby's looked up to him like an idol. I mean, this guy cried when he saw Luffy on the news because he was just that proud of him. But here's the problem. Since Koby is a Marine, he'll do anything to try and stop Luffy. Like we saw at Marineford when Luffy was trying to save Ace, Koby actually stepped in to stop him. Though, yeah, he got absolutely blasted. Anyway, after learning of the world-ending ramifications of someone finding the One Piece, Koby has decided that he can't allow Luffy to accomplish his dream. So Koby doesn't hate Luffy at all, but his goal is still to take him down. Moving on and going back to the Straw Hats, we've got Sanji at 8%. Because Luffy makes Sanji lose his mind, especially Luffy's recklessness and that he basically never follows the plan. Observation Haki, in the middle of their fight, Katakuri started to seriously respect Luffy's strength and determination. So in the end, Katakuri didn't see Luffy as an enemy, but as a respected rival. And let's not forget that Katakuri actually smiled when he heard Luffy escape Big Mom's territory safely. So sure, these two are definitely not best friends, but Katakuri doesn't have any hate for this guy, other than being a rival. Staying at 10%, let's talk about Trafalgar Law. Even though these guys have built a deep bond after working together for a long time and fighting side by side against countless enemies, Law still thinks Luffy can be a complete idiot. I mean, he gets super annoyed by Luffy's recklessness and that he basically never follows the plan. So we see this guy yell at Luffy all the time for being an idiot. And not only that, but Law hates it when Luffy orders him around and tells him what to do like he's some kind of lackey. So even if you first might think these guys are best friends, and sure, they are close, care about each other, and will absolutely fight to protect each other, don't forget that they're still rivals who both are chasing the One Piece. Moving on to someone you probably wouldn't expect to have 20% hatred for Luffy, and that's Nami. Now obviously, Nami doesn't always hate her captain, but sometimes she definitely does. I mean, when Luffy literally forces the crew to take the super dangerous route instead of the safer one because it's more fun, she seriously wants to strangle him for always putting the crew in life or death situations for no reason. She also yells at him, punches him, and straight up puts him in jail cells when he's being annoying. And don't forget that Luffy once went out and spent all her money on meat. And since we all know how much Nami loves her berries, you know she absolutely wanted to kill him right there. So yeah, Nami absolutely hates Luffy sometimes, but still, she also loves him. Like, she'll never forget how he saved and freed her from Arlong, she runs to him first whenever she's sad, and she literally told Ulti that Luffy will become the king of the pirates, even though she knew she would probably die for saying that. So sure, she thinks he's incredibly stupid and reckless at times, which is why he's at 20%, but she also loves him. Yeah, I know, this love-hate relationship is kinda complicated. Next up, Kizaru at 30%. Sure, he tried to kill Luffy at Sabaody, Marineford, and most recently at Egghead. But here's the thing, he doesn't actually hate Luffy. Nope. He actually respects him for his insane strength, and he even said he was impressed by the man Luffy's become, and for taking down Kaido. He even tried to avoid fighting Luffy at Egghead. And oh, when Luffy was down, Kizaru actually gave him food so he could recover and not get killed by the Five Elders. So wait, does that mean Kizaru likes Luffy? Well, not exactly. He only helped Luffy so he'd be strong enough to save Bonnie. So even if Kizaru follows the world government orders that are take down Luffy, he doesn't hate him. That said, Luffy is still a pirate, so he's gotta be at 30%. But going back to pirates, we've got Eustace Kid at 35%. These two are rivals to the core. I mean, we literally saw them competing over the dumbest stuff in the Udon prison, but of course, their real competition is all about who can reach the One Piece first. Sure, they teamed up at both Sabaody and at Wano to fight Kaido and Big Mom, and Kid does respect Luffy's strength and his battle spirit. But even after everything they've been through, Kid's rivalry and resentment towards Luffy is still super strong. Like, he was pissed that Luffy had become an emperor and seriously wanted to kill him for it. So yeah, Kid does not care as much about Luffy as you'd think. Someone else at 35% is actually Blackbeard. You'd think Blackbeard would be at like 100%, right? But when they first met, Blackbeard actually respected him. Although yeah, they literally argued over the taste of pie at Jaya like idiots. Still, Blackbeard respected Luffy for also believing in dreams, just like him. But obviously after Blackbeard captured Ace and was the main reason Ace got killed at Marineford, these two are now true enemies. That said, Blackbeard doesn't hate Luffy. In fact, he's actually impressed by his strength, and he even gets hyped whenever he hears Luffy causing chaos. So basically, Blackbeard just sees Luffy as an obstacle standing in his way of becoming the king of the world. Still, he definitely doesn't like him. Now let's move on to Kaido, who only hates Luffy at 40%. Although at first, Kaido really wanted Luffy dead. Yeah, after Luffy took down Doflamingo and messed up his whole smile operation, Kaido wanted revenge.
Hi friends! Millie Moon and I are here to make potty training easier and more fun. I'm so excited for you to try our new training pants. You got this.
Millie Moon and Miss Rachel Training Pants. Available now.
In this sport, there's no room for slip-ups. And I demand the same for my makeup. Through every turn and every lap, my look stays locked with zero transfer. That's infallible performance. You're worth it.
And then when they finally fought, Kaido absolutely destroyed him, and even laughed at Luffy for being such a weakling. But fast forward to Onigashima, and Kaido became super impressed that Luffy could actually go toe-to-toe with him, and it even made Kaido enjoy their fight. So he actually started to respect Luffy and his strength, and even compared him to legends like Roger and Odin. So even though Luffy was trying to get in the way of Kaido's dream of making a world of violence, he didn't fight with hatred anymore. In fact, at the end of their fight, Kaido even saw Luffy as the one he'd been waiting for all this time, the legendary Joy Boy. So yeah, Kaido can't hate Luffy more than 40%. But someone who definitely hates Luffy more than that is Buggy, all the way up at 75%. At first though, Buggy absolutely despised Luffy. Yeah, after Luffy sent Buggy flying at Orange Town, Buggy chased him all the way to Log Town just to execute him. And he seriously almost did it. After that, things get a bit weird. I mean, we see them technically team up at Impel Down, though Buggy did try to abandon Luffy. So anyway, while Buggy isn't actively trying to kill Luffy anymore, let's be honest, he definitely wouldn't be sad if Luffy somehow died. Especially since Buggy just can't stand how much Luffy reminds him of Shanks. It seriously drives him crazy. So Buggy doesn't like Luffy at all, thinks he's an idiot, and just super annoying. And now that both Buggy and Luffy are emperors, he wants to surpass him and the others, even if Mihawk and Crocodile obviously think he's completely delusional. Now let's talk about Doflamingo, who's all the way up at 90%. Though at first, Doflamingo actually thought Luffy was kinda funny. Yeah, he thought it was hilarious that this crazy rookie was causing chaos everywhere at Marineford. But when Luffy then teamed up with Law, destroyed Punk Hazard, and took Caesar Clown hostage, that completely messed up his plans and made him furious. I mean, Dofi went out of his way to kill him. He even used Ace's Devil Fruit as bait just to lure him in, and then end him. But as Luffy just kept ruining his plans and getting in his way, like saving Law, exposing his empire, and turning the whole country against him, that's when it got personal. So by the time they finally have their fight, Doflamingo absolutely hated him. We're talking full-on rage mode. I mean, he was ready to destroy the entire country just to make Luffy suffer. He used everything he had, even awakened his powers just to try and kill him. But yeah, as Luffy took him down, you just know Dofi's sitting in his prison cell and plotting how he's gonna get his revenge, and one day make Luffy suffer once he gets out. Next up, Rob Lucci at 95%. Back in Enies Lobby, these two had one of the most insane and epic fights in the entire series, with Luffy pushing himself to the absolute limit just to take Lucci down. And even though Lucci lost, he did actually gain some respect for Luffy and his qualities to be a true captain. He even admitted Luffy was a way better leader than Spandam, who he straight up called a useless idiot. But yeah, don't get it twisted, Lucci still hates him. Like when they finally meet again on Egghead, Lucci seriously ignores his orders from the world government just to fight Luffy again. That's how personal it is. Even when they're forced to team up, Lucci straight up says Luffy's the first one he's taking out when it's all done. That's pure hatred. Staying at 95%, we've got Saturn. Ever since Saturn and the Five Elders found out that Luffy's got the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, they've had one mission: to kill him at all costs. Yeah, the Nika power is a power they've been trying to erase for centuries, so they were desperate to prevent him from awakening the fruit, but of course, they were too late to stop him. So now, Saturn sees Luffy as his mortal enemy and the absolute biggest threat to the world government, which is why he sent to Egghead to kill him himself. But when Luffy starts mocking him and just easily beating him with Gear 5, that's when it gets personal. Yeah, Saturn starts to hate Luffy more than he hates anyone in the world. Even with all that, Saturn still underestimated Luffy, and yep, that ended up costing him his life. But okay, now we finally got someone who absolutely hates Luffy at 100%, and that's Imu. Now, even though this guy looks absolutely terrifying, with that insane power and those super creepy red eyes, we actually saw Imu start shaking from fear when he felt Joy Boy's haki. Now Imu and Joy Boy go way back, and all you need to know is that Imu hates Joy Boy more than anything in the world. And since Imu sees Luffy as the second coming of Joy Boy, he obviously wants nothing more than to kill him. I mean, Imu seriously hates Luffy so much that he straight up killed Saturn just for letting him escape at Egghead. Not only that, but even Imu himself went to Elbaf just to take him out, which is insane. So Imu's gotta be at 100%. And someone else who hates Luffy at 100% is Big Mom. Her hatred for Luffy started all the way back at Fishman Island, when he straight up called her out and told her that he would beat her in the New World and claim Fishman Island as his own. But yeah, Big Mom just thought, yeah, I'm gonna eat this rookie. But then, Luffy not only invades Whole Cake Island, but he also ruins her entire tea party, crashes the wedding, destroys the wedding cake, and to top it all off, Brooks smashes Mother Carmel's portrait. Yeah, Big Mom obviously went into total rage mode after that and tries to kill them all. And after Luffy just manages to escape, she's furious and swears she will get her revenge on him. She even chases him all the way to Wano. And literally every time she sees him, she just gets angrier, yelling about how he's ruined everything for her since the day they met. So yeah, Big Mom absolutely hates Luffy at 100% and just wants him dead. But the character that hates Luffy the most in the entire series, who's obviously also at 100%, is Aka Inu. Yeah, he hates Luffy more than anyone in the world. He hates him for being this chaotic pirate and ruining the justice in the world, and he wants nothing more than to turn him into a donut, just like he did with his brother. Like if he just sees Luffy's bounty poster, he burns it in his hand. And honestly, if he just hears someone mention Luffy, his head's turning into a volcano. How much do you hate Luffy? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.